Alaska Airlines has teamed up with Hawaiian Airlines to create new nonstop international flights. Go to alaskaair.com or hawaiianairlines.com, and I'll tell you more details later in the show. I'm Rachel Belle, and this is Your Last Meal, the show where celebrities share stories about the foods they love most, and we dig into the history, culture, or science of those meals with experts from around the world. Today on the program, Tony, Emmy, and 5-time Grammy Award-nominated singer, songwriter, actor, and Broadway performer, Josh Groban. Josh is releasing a brand new album called Gems on May 2nd. It's filled with his greatest hits plus 2 brand new songs. And he is celebrating with a mini Las Vegas Gems residency, playing 5 shows there between May 9th and May 17th. What do you do with a rutabaga? How do you cook a kohlrabi? Could you pick a burdock root out of a lineup? Well, my friend, Chef Becky Selengut, wrote a whole cookbook called Misunderstood Vegetables, with the goal of helping you make meals out of the lumpy, twisted, strange-looking vegetables you might pass over at the farmer's market. That's coming up later in the show. But first, my conversation with Josh Groban.
We're gonna be all right.
How's the audio? I didn't bring my AirPods. Are we okay?
I think so. What did you have for breakfast? Let me hear you talk a little bit.
Testing 1, 2, 3. I had 2 bowls of Raisin Bran, but not the good sugary kind. I had some way too healthy Raisin Bran 321. I need to eat more protein in my life, I've been told. I like toast. I like cereal. I like a light carb in the morning.
You know what? Don't listen to the world, because this feels like some weird Instagram obsession trend, this protein. You just do what you're doing. You're fine.
Thank you.
Josh Groban was a student at the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, a public high school on the UCLA campus. And in 1999, just before his 18th birthday, he got a call from Grammy-winning music producer David Foster, asking if Josh could fill in for Andrea Bocelli at a Grammy rehearsal singing a duet with Celine Dion.
This kid comes on stage. He looks like he's 12 years old, the cutest thing. He's got this curly hair, eyes big like 2 sunshine. He's so nervous and shaking, and he comes so sweet, introduced, and I'm like, oh, I feel bad for this little kid. I was feeling nervous for him, you know. The kid is here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Groban.
That basically kicked off his career. He went away to college, but 4 months into his freshman year, Josh got a record deal and left school to pursue his music career. But before the fortune and fame, Josh was just a cute little kid who really liked pickles. You're part Jewish, you're part Norwegian. How did this play into what you ate at home growing up?
Bottom line is a lot of pickled fish, a lot of smoked fish. Growing up, my dad definitely, on his Jewish side, introduced me very young to like whitefish salad and deli foods and like a really good lox and bagel and pickled herring. I'm not sure if that was a Jewish food. That might have been more the Scandinavian side, but he loved it, so I ate a lot of it. And so I just kind of like got this taste for pickled foods when I was a kid. Like I was the 4-year-old who like wanted the pickle off of everybody's plate.
Gun to head, lutefisk versus gefilte fish.
Oh God. I think if I had to pick, I'd say gefilte fish or fisk?
Fish.
Fish. Gefilte fish.
Lutefisk, gefilte fish.
Lutefisk and gefilte fish. Yeah, I think ultimately the gefilte fish is, I think if I had to choose, they're both an acquired taste, but I have a bad memory of being kind of forced to eat room temperature lutefisk on a television show in Sweden. That was not a fun evening for me. So even if they're both might be the same kind of weirdness, I'd go with the gefilte.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Thoughts and prayers. Whew.
Oh, so much. Yeah, that was a tough, because you want to, people pleaser in me is like, well, when in Rome, I can't say no, or I'm the difficult American being very picky here on the show. I want to try the food of my Scandinavian people, but it was I feel like there are better ways to serve that dish.
Well, they kind of ruined it for themselves because basically what they did was like gave you a pack of cigarettes to smoke so you'd never want to smoke one again. And now you've turned on their people.
Totally right. It was a lesson learned,
Mhm.
and I probably won't eat it again.
Lutefisk is dry white fish that is cured and preserved in lye and then rehydrated, which gives it a jelly-like texture. Let's talk about Bush's baked beans. I really enjoyed saying that. First of all,
Segue. I'm in.
the alliteration.
Yes, thank you.
You were contacted by Bush's Baked Beans
I
to
was.
write a jingle, but I'd read that you said, you get approached with ideas all the time and 9 out of 10 are not a good fit. Why
Yeah.
to you was this a fit?
I don't know. I just loved it. There was something about it that seemed so odd. Like when you think of my music, like that's
I
like
think of beans.
I mean truly to get that ask was like, all right, this is either the dumbest, weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, or this is like so weird it's brilliant. And so I said to myself, all right, well, before I say yes to this, let me just sit down at the piano because again, COVID was a weird time. Let me sit down. Let me just like think about what would I want to say, what would I want to sing about beans? Because also you have to love what you're singing about. And
Yeah.
another thing that my dad got me into very early on was baked beans. Like I have a British girlfriend now, and we share a bond of American
Beans on toast.
culture is the baked beans. Very different. Heinz, Bush's, the kind over there, the kind you get here. There will be fights for ages about which ones are better. But I do love baked beans. I love baked beans. And so I said, okay, I'm not just going to like make a jingle. If I'm going to do this, I want to make like a power ballad to end all power ballads about a little boy who loves beans so much that he dreams of them and cries bean-shaped tears.
When I was a little boy, the kids could be so laughing at what was in my lunch pail. They'd yell about the musical fruit. They'd say the more that I ate, the more I'd but I swear that they've never made me do that. Oh, there's no shame.
And I said to them, because they had sent me a deck that was very down the middle, very serious. Like they actually, I think, wanted a song that could be on like Spotify. And I'm like, yeah, trust me on this. You got to let me go a little off the rails on this, or I don't think it's going to work.
Right.
And they, to their credit, they did. We made a music video commercial for it where we hired a little boy that they put a beard on. And my dad was in it. My dad, he still gets residual checks from the moment on camera he had there, clicking his little barbecue tongs together. I had a blast writing this song, and the ad agency was just like, we have 100% positive approval rating from our viewers. That's never happened before,
Change me, it's time to show. Flash forward to my I had an appetite for success, but now I have to deal with your music's
I was like,
And you're like, they don't call me Josh Groban for
Nailed it.
nothing.
yeah. Listen, sometimes you got to try stuff that is just so weird it might work to kind of keep you on your toes, and that came at the right time where I was just like, oh god, another symphony. Oh wait, hold on a minute. What is this? Yes,
Beans,
oh, that beans. Don't get me started on beans. And I also love waiting for Guffman. So
big fat juicy beans. Oh, me too.
Oh my god,
Top 5 favorite movie of all time.
it tickled so many things that I like that I just said, you know what? You only live once.
I'm so glad that you just pulled the Guffman line. Big
Yes,
fat
you have
juicy
to. It was-
beans.
Honestly, that was a big part when I got it and I was talking to my friends about getting this offer. All we did was just basically recite the opening of the Guffman musical, and that, I think that was what tilted it over the edge of saying yes to do it.
Is it true that you were teased for liking beans as a kid in the school
Yes.
cafeteria?
Yes, that's true. And so when I wrote that into the song and we made a scene in the music video about the little bearded bean boy getting picked on, that's me. That's a true story. Again, I had weird tastes growing up. I loved growing up in Los Angeles because I had tastes that were multicultural. Like growing up in LA, I had friends that cooked incredible Mexican food. Like all I wanted when I went home from school is I wanted tacos and quesadillas and tostadas. And I had friends of mine that I went to elementary school with who were Japanese, who introduced me to sushi rolls, like the cooked sushi rolls though for kids. And I remember that was my first time eating like seaweed with rice. And I immediately was like, this is the best thing I ever tasted. And so like, yeah, I wasn't like a ham and cheese sandwich kid. I was like, my taste for like, I want that seaweed rice thing and some barbecue baked beans and maybe some pickled herring in there too. And throw in the pickle. Weird taste. And boy, kids can be cruel. And my taste buds were ahead of their time.
I was just like you. And I think now is an easier time to be a kid who likes food because food is such a part of the culture in a way that it wasn't when we were kids. And, like now I've done as a journalist, like stories on like what they're eating at school lunch, and they're eating all of those things. They're making sushi and but when in the 80s, I think you're like a year younger than I am. It was just because my dad was born in Romania, grew up in Israel, same thing. We had all the stinky fish and my friends would come over and be like, that is so gross. Your dad's putting sardines on toast for breakfast. Barf.
So normal to us, like that was just so delicious, and almost even like I can't wait to show everybody like my cool food. We also share. Like I would say, hey, what you got over there? I'll trade you a spoon of baked beans for a
chocolate covered
maki
gummy
roll.
bear.
There you yeah.
Does that chocolate covered gummy bear reference make no sense to you? Well, that would make sense because I chop my interviews into tasty bits and sometimes serve them to you out of order. So let's roll back the tape so Josh can tell you about one of his other favorite childhood foods.
Chocolate covered gummy bears.
I've never had a chocolate covered gummy bear.
Probably for the best. It's
Do you put it in your mouth and then let the chocolate melt off and then eat the gummy, or do you just crunch it off?
Honestly, by the time I would consider how to answer that question, the whole bag would be gone. So I have had so many chocolate covered gummy bears in my life that there have been times where I've experimented with different ways to eat the chocolate off the bear. I have done that. It's fine. But really the essence of it is you got to put it in my opinion, you got to put it in the fridge to get it just a little harder. And then and then it's the whole bite. It's the combination of the jelly of the gummy bear and the chocolate. I get mine dark chocolate and it just goes together. I've done surgery on these to see like what kind of gummy bear are they using? Are there different colored gummy bears in the chocolate? And fascinatingly enough, there aren't. They're all like clear. So
clear.
I tried. I was like, something's not natural. And then I tried to make my own chocolate covered gummy bears at home and like put gummy bears on a cookie sheet and drizzled dark chocolate over them and wound up just making a bark. And the gummy bear's really tough. And I was thinking, man, this is a whole operation. In order to get the chocolate covered gummy bear exactly right, there's a whole process that it must be patented because I don't know it.
You'll never know. I know I'm imagining this weird like gummy bear morgue that you're making just on like lining them up and they're all clear and you're cutting them open and you're pouring chocolate. You're embalming them in chocolate.
It was a mess. It was yeah. I truly
the cops.
Wait, leave me. Yeah. Leave me to my work.
After the break, Josh tells me how he learned to cook during the pandemic, and you'll meet my friend Becky, a chef who lures people into eating strange-looking vegetables by putting googly eyes on them. Hello, world travelers. I know you're always thinking about your next trip. And starting May 12th, Alaska is offering daily nonstop flights between Seattle and Tokyo. And starting October, nonstop service between Seattle and Seoul. Lay down and sleep for the entire trip with seats that lay flat and enjoy free Starlink high-speed internet in the premium cabin. And everyone can enjoy more than 800 movies, TV episodes, and podcasts for free, including Your Last Meal and my TV show, The Nosh. Book your trip at alaskaair.com or hawaiianairlines.com. They're partners now. Is it true that you learned to cook during the pandemic?
I learned to cook with any semblance of skill during the pandemic. I knew my way around a scrambled egg, a boiling pasta. I could do the basics, but I really decided that during COVID, I would learn some techniques. And what started me on that was my brother got me as a birthday present, the masterclass pass.
Yeah.
And I watched like the Thomas Keller cooking for beginners, the basic techniques of cooking. And he would talk about the right way to slice a zucchini before you roast the zucchini. I mean, we're talking like one vegetable at a time. And I found it so interesting to see how, under his skillful techniques, an ordinary, boring raw vegetable with a little oil and salt and heat, he was able to turn into these like masterpieces. And it demystified cooking for me in a way that I was really intimidated by seeing like the recipes in my mom's cookbooks and things like that, going, there's no way I can tackle this. I think starting that simply with somebody that is so revered made it kind of like, I can do that to a zucchini. I can roast that carrot that way. I can do those things. So once I started to learn how to do that, I cracked open the recipe books again and kind of started to say, oh, yeah, I know. I guess I know how to do that, and I could do that, and I guess I could improvise a little there, and I realized that it was actually not a whole lot different from making music. You know, it was you got all kinds of ideas and notes that you don't know how they'll go together, and might be quite ugly when you first see them. And at the end of the day, it's about putting them together in a way that is also very giving, which I really liked about it. And music is very giving and something that feels kind of service, like let me cook you something. Let me show you my appreciation with this meal. That was really something that I liked a lot about it. And at a time when I think mental health wise, we all needed it.
You just needed a zucchini.
I needed a roast zucchini. That's really all I need. Yeah. So what I wound up doing was I wound up realizing that I could support some local restaurants too that were giving kind of like these garden boxes. We have a restaurant in Los Angeles called All Time. That's one of my favorite restaurants in LA. And they were doing this amazing thing, which is that to support their farmers that were then supporting their restaurant, they were delivering boxes of whatever the local produce was that their farms had nowhere to give. After doing my Thomas Keller cooking thing, I would get the box every week and I'd look through that and be like, the heck is that? Rutabaga. What do I do with that? Oh my God, rainbow chard. And then I'd go on kind of the mission of what do I do with each of these things? And then before I knew it, I knew how to cook a lot of different things. And then I realized I could cook. So yeah, it was fun.
If you're still on any kind of weird, funky, bulbous vegetable mission, a good friend of mine here in Seattle wrote a book that was very popular called Misunderstood Vegetables. I think it came out last year.
Oh, I do. Yes.
And
great.
Do you know that book?
I do. It's great.
Yeah. She puts googly eyes on all the vegetables.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I love books like that because there's just such an abundance of just the fancier, the better, eye candy, eye popping, Instagram worthy. I do have a soft spot for an ugly veg that looks like it has no earthly purpose and just turning it into beauty. It's great.
I would walk through produce stands and feel sorry for the maligned, dirty celery root and the twisted roots of carrots. Nobody would buy them.
The two legs.
Yeah. And rutabaga that people think is terrible, and turnips. That to me was interesting. And I wanted to teach people about that.
That is Chef Becky Selengut, author of the cookbook Misunderstood Vegetables, the one that Josh and I were just talking about. Becky says a lot of the inspiration she got for writing the cookbook came from interactions that she kept having over and over again with strangers at farmers markets and grocery stores. I asked her to read a section from the book's introduction.
What on earth is that hideous thing? Asked the grocery checker. Their name tag said, Chris, hi, I'm new. I laughed and picked up the filthy softball-sized bulb, its skinny roots like a dozen ballerina legs twisted into impossible positions. I started to tell them it was celeriac, and then I quickly edited myself and said, it's a celery root, a cousin of celery. Chris held it up in the air, just staring at it. They picked up a smallish white orb with greens on the top. Turnip? That, I said, is the most beautiful vegetable in the entire store. Chris blinked at me because it looked just so-so on the outside. Seriously, I said, cut it open. You're going to be amazed. It's a watermelon radish, and it's incredible looking. I don't think I know the code to this, but I trust you, Chris said, smiling, flipping through the price lookup book. I felt like an enthusiastic ambassador for unusual produce, and not just to Chris. These moments kept happening, prepping for a dinner party with friends, standing next to someone at a farmer's market, overhearing their questions and puzzled looks. And everyone gets involved, like the person in front of me who hasn't left yet, the person behind me.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, what do you do with that? Or I've never used that before. Or what's that taste like? So all of these questions just confirm that this is a book that is needed and that maybe no one will buy it. But if you do, you'll learn a lot.
Sometimes a misunderstood vegetable is one that you've actually cooked with before, but you only know how to cook it one way.
So, for example, Rachel Belle, you know a ton about food.
Whoop, whoop.
What do you do with tomatillos?
That resonated with me a lot in the book when you brought this up, because just like you said in the book, I've only made salsa with it. I grew tomatillos in my garden and I just didn't know what else to do with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So break down that ingredient to its essence. What does it add to a dish? And then you can be creative with it. And so when I grill or char up a tomatillo and I taste it, it's just this tart green tomato burst of acidity and moisture. What's that good for? And then I was like, well, it's like a green tomato and I fry green tomatoes. So what about a fried green tomatillo? Delicious.
I want that.
Oh, well, they're a bright pop of acid. That would be good as a salad dressing.
Right. Well, you're very culturally considerate in the book, saying that not all vegetables are misunderstood to all people. Like burdock root is very common in Japan, but they might not know about radicchio.
Exactly. So it's absolutely based on the culture you were raised in, the country you were raised in, and your exposure from your family and your community. So that being said, it still feels like there are some that rise to the top of misunderstood mountain. And I would say, I'm sure I'll get Swedes and Brits calling me about this, but rutabaga really does seem to, across most cultures and peoples I've talked to, be one of the ones that's most misunderstood. Rutabagas are nutty, earthy, and a little bit funky, like turnip and parsnip had a love child.
Ooh.
But it's got this comforting sweet potato vibe too. I find them immensely interesting. I mean, potato's the vanilla of the vegetable world. And if you want a little bit of flavor with your vegetables and pizzazz and like life, if you like potatoes, try turnips, try rutabaga, try celery root. It's potato with flavor. And I would also say bitter melon, except not to Indians and Chinese people who work with it. But bitter melon is one of those it's real hard to love if you didn't grow up on it. And if your taste buds, and this goes back to my other interest, which is genetics of taste and the science of taste, if you have more taste buds, those things are actually more bitter to you. And so they're not going to develop in cultures that have a propensity to have more taste buds.
Oh.
So the genetics work that way, and they actually play out that folks from Indian and Chinese backgrounds have more people in the population with less taste buds, which means they need bigger flavors, spicier flavors, and bitter doesn't register the same.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so Brits and folks from the whitest of the white countries, they are more sensitive tasters. They don't like heat as much and they don't like bitterness as much.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rutabaga is also misunderstood to me. A lot of the ones you've named I've cooked with or I had, or I at least know what they are. I always look at it in the store and I'm like, who's buying you? I've bought it once to make...
Who's buying you?
Because there's not that many and they're up
know.
on the top. And I just wonder what people are doing with them.
And they're waxed. They're like waxy.
Oh, yes.
It's for preservation because I think they sit around a long time.
Before she wrote the book, Becky taught a cooking class called Misunderstood Vegetables at the Pantry Cooking School in Seattle. And part of the curriculum involved googly eyes.
So I'm dorky. I think you know that. I'm silly. I have 12-year-old humor a lot of times. And I thought it was funny to put googly eyes on these crazy vegetables and create a still life greeting my students when they come in the door. And I figured if there was a Jerusalem artichoke, sunchoke that looks like a dirty rock, but with one cyclops eye on it, you would have a hard time ignoring it and walking by it. And then I started stealth putting googly eyes on vegetables in the market.
You did?
Just for fun. And I would encourage people to do it. I would hand out googly eyes at my classes and just say, just put them on vegetables that you think get ignored. Like, let's
so
give
cute.
them some love.
Yeah.
I asked my editor to put him on the cover and she refused, but she allowed me one photo in the book with googly eyes.
And I guess it just makes them more approachable, right? People aren't
does.
afraid of them anymore.
No, you're laughing with them.
There's a lot of metaphors that can be made with the book. You know, you talk about in the form of vegetables, acceptance, not being fearful of things that you don't understand. Was that a purposeful message?
Yeah, with all my books, they all tend to have a little bit of my values, but I don't want to be too over the top with it because I find that very off-putting. With this book, part of the reason why it was interesting to me was because it translates perfectly to our world, to how we treat people, honestly. When we know a person from a different group, different culture, different life, different religion, sexuality, gender expression, when we meet them, when they become part of our community, we no longer fear them. We understand them. We support them. We rally for them, and we protect them. And it's no different than food. Literally, you say to someone, here's a celery root, and it's got dirt all over it, and it looks bad. And they say, ew, I don't want that, and I don't want to eat that, and I don't want that in my house. And I started feeling protective as a queer person myself, as a Jewish person. As a woman, I feel like I really want to be helping in the little way I can as a chef, move forward these things that are misunderstood. And it extends, I think, to human beings as well, especially in this time.
We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Josh shares his last meal. Hi, food lovers. Season 2 of my TV show, The Nosh, is out now. And I know I'm biased because I co-produced it, I hosted it, I wrote it, but it is a really fun season. We get into everything from an Ethiopian coffee ceremony in Seattle's Pike Place Market. I get to do some fancy wilderness cooking with a TikTok influencer. Don't watch the pizza episode unless you have pizza in front of your face. You will regret it. And this is PBS, so it is shot beautifully. They're just these tasty little 8.5-minute bites, so I think everybody has time to watch. You can watch The Nosh anytime at CascadePBS.org, on the Cascade PBS app, or if you're in Washington or Canada, it's on Cascade PBS Channel 9, Thursday nights at 8:50 p.m. Pacific. What would your last meal be?
Oh man, the chocolate covered gummy bears are a proper addiction, but I also really, really love like raw nuts and dried fruits, which is such a hippie answer. I'm addicted to raw cashews and I'm addicted to dried mango. I would have that probably as a snack, as a final meal snack. I would start with that, a few chocolate covered gummy bears. I would definitely have probably my top food in general is Japanese. So there would probably be a pretty big Japanese food component to this. I would love like a fatty toro hand roll with like there's like a pickle that they put in there, and that would be an amazing appetizer. I would do that, some edamame, and then for a main course, my girlfriend is British and she has opened my eyes to the Sunday roast in London. This is something that my mom would roast things, but I never experienced just how many calories could be put on one plate. The breaded roast potatoes, the cheesy broccoli cauliflower, the butter roasted chicken, corn.
And what do they call I'm just blanking, the poofs, the like poofy bread thing.
They do almost like a bread souffle kind of a deal. It is like, but you just dip it. And then what is it? Yorkshire pudding.
Yorkshire pudding.
Yes, thank you. And my publicist Luke is also British, so we're in on this together. The Yorkshire pudding, dip it in all the stuff. So I gotta say, like, I've had a lot of favorite meals in my life, but since meeting my girlfriend, having an incredible Sunday roast as an American kid just kind of elevated for me all of the things that I used to have at home when I was a kid, and just kind of turned it into just the most indulgent. When I've had a bad day, we'll do the roast and open up a big bottle of red wine and just be Sunday roast sloths. Have like a whiskey glazed bread pudding. Yeah, I would do that.
It's interesting to kind of like move into the comfort food of a different culture, or like kind of become family with somebody you're dating and it becomes your comfort food too.
Absolutely. And her cooking that for my family was like a really big, like, I loved, it was so awesome for her to introduce that to my folks and see the similarities between like stuff that my mom would cook when I was a kid and also stuff that we now like to cook from that cookbook. And British cuisine has not always gotten the best, rep. And so it's awesome to see just how elevated and delicious that it can be from over there. And I mean, there's lots of things that I like to indulge in food wise, but if I'm going to go out, I might as well do it with 10,000 calories.
Well, you're in good company of other Brits who've been on this show. Gavin Rossdale chose this for his last meal.
Oh, really?
As did Tan France from Queer Eye.
Oh, sorry.
No. I've been doing this show for like 9 years. things,
Oh.
sometimes there's repeats. So, but
Yeah.
it's been like only in the past year, it's been the roast. I think people need comfort right now.
I think this is part of it. Yes, I think the roast is perhaps having a moment because we do need comfort. I think that our relationship with comfort food is important. It's necessary. You know, I grew up also living in LA. You're in a lot of health culture. Being in Seattle too, we spend a lot of time in the San Juans, and like the ingredients
Nice.
and the vegetables and the healthy farm to table kind of like atmosphere is so wonderful. Sometimes you need to refill the soul tank and just have the comfort. And I think coming out of, gosh, I just feel like there's been relentless. We've come out of one thing to another, to another, to another, to another. And I feel like cooking and eating delicious food is a way for us to kind of commune and share love and you know, kind of reconnect with being good to ourselves.
100%. Is there a dish that you've introduced your girlfriend to from either American culture, whatever that means, or your family culture in exchange for the roast?
She's obsessed with the egg dish, my mom's egg dish. I guess it's like an egg casserole, but it's like got like Mexican peppers in it, and it's got cheddar cheese and corn and like lots of corn in it. And it's like an egg souffle that's like this thick, and you have it with salsa and with guacamole, and it's like the best. And she's learned how to make it. And she actually made my mom the egg dish, which was like, I'm like, gave it like the A+. It's like, okay, all right, she's the one. Yeah, let me see if there's. She's not down with the pickled herring. I have not been able to win that battle.
That's tough.
But loves. Oh my God, loves when we were in New York when I was doing Broadway together. Absolutely fell for whitefish salad on a bagel. She's all in on like the Jewish deli food now. Like we can go anytime, and as long as there's no pickled herring, we're good. But I think that
that's
again,
good.
and Navy. Yeah.
I know you're a big wine person. Is there a particular wine that you'd want for your last meal?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking this question. I had my aha wine moment. My parents like saved up, and for their 50th wedding anniversary, they wanted to go to Burgundy in France. And I went with them. My brother went with them, and we celebrated in Burgundy, France. I've been to Paris for promo and all kinds of stuff, but never been to Burgundy. And while in Burgundy, I discovered that this was the taste of wine I'd been looking for my whole life. And it just had the richness, the roundness, even just your generic, what they call a table wine that isn't your Premier Cru or your Grand Cru, just your normal, is delicious. I loved it. So yeah, I've had many a Sunday roast with a good bottle of Burgundy, and it's a great, delicious wine that is also an expensive habit wine to have. And so again, if I'm going out, I'm popping open something old and something grand for sure.
Yeah, well, when you said that even the table wine is good, it made me think about, I feel like that happens more readily in Europe. Like when I was in Portugal, I was drinking $2 glasses of wine all the time, and every single one of them was very good.
It's the way that, it's actually like in France, at least, like in the law that you can't put extra chemicals and growth stuff into the vines. Like they have to do it kind of, just pure nature and talent. I don't get hungover really much if I drink it from that area. No. I definitely noticed the difference when I started to drink wine in Europe versus when I'd come back and I'd have a really big California cab. I felt totally different.
And that was Josh Groban's last meal. Thank you so much. It was so fun chatting with you. It was really nice to meet you.
You too. I love your show, and I'm just happy to be on it. And thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great tour.
You too. Thank
Bye.
you. I did the awkward. Have a great flight.
I know. I let it go. Make sure and tune in next Thursday to hear The Leftovers with Josh Groban. This is where I play parts of our interview that you didn't hear today. You can find The Leftovers right here where you get your last meal. Josh's new album is called Gems. You can pick it up starting May 2nd and snag tickets to his mini Las Vegas residency. He'll be at Caesars Palace 5 days between May 9th and 17th, and there are only a few tickets left. Thanks to Becky Selengut. Her latest cookbook is called Misunderstood Vegetables. It was praised by the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and it was one of the most checked out books last year at Seattle Public Libraries. You can find a link to all 5 of Becky's books in the show notes. Your Last Meal is a product of Seattle's Cascade PBS. Go to cascadepbs.org to become a member and get on-demand access to all PBS programming, including lots and lots of food shows. CascadePBS.org is also where you can watch my TV show, The Nosh. Season 2 is airing right now. New episodes out every Thursday. And tonight is actually my favorite episode of the entire season. The Nosh Season 1 is also available on Alaska Airlines in-flight entertainment. This episode was produced with Maliha Syed and mixed and mastered by Sarah Bernard. Original theme music by Prom Queen. I created, host, and co-produced the podcast. I'm Rachel Belle, and this is Your Last Meal. Hello.
Hi, we're just sort of getting there. Here we go, Josh.
He's getting me.
I'm getting there.
Here he comes. He's sitting on the Golden Girls couch.
Yes, I am. Thank you for being a friend.
I would travel up the road and down again for this interview any day.
You can
We're going to get along great.
Turn up in a burdock, and I put it on the thing and on the
At the grocery store?
At the grocery store on the what do you call it?
Yeah, what is that called?
Oh God,
The moving
produce tram.
What is that called? The flat L escalator for food.
The metro of I don't know.
What is that? I really want to
Belt.
know. The belt.
The belt, right?
Some other word with the
Conveyor
belt.
belt? No.
Put it on the thing.
Put it on the belt.
Put it on the belt. Conveyor belt? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, but I
not
did.
it.
But that seems too industrial.
Yeah. Wow. This is really something that we don't know this. I'm just going to look.
Okay, you look.
What do you? It does say conveyor belt.
That doesn't seem right.
I've never heard anybody say that before. Assembly line?
No. I think belt. Put it on the belt. It's not said. People just know what it is.
Yeah. We just don't
We just don't say it. It's like the
We should really be saying it.
misunderstood conveyor belts.
Yes. Next book.